What's going on there, folks? Good evening. It is the Earthmaster out here on this Tuesday night, January 3rd, 2023. It's about 9:30 p.m. here along the West Coast in California, where we are expecting a massive amount of rain beginning tomorrow. Flooding potential, highly likely here over the coming days, about the next week or so. All right. Latest earthquake activity shows a 2.0 earthquake. And by the way, watch these fault systems out here in Southern California with all this rainfall coming in. We need to watch these faults for potential movement. They do have a relation in terms of adjustment, seeing that water get well below and deep down into the fault systems. 2.0 into the area of, it kind of looks like it's around the Sierra Nevada area. Latest earthquake there on the map. Take a look here at the USGS 24-hour map here. All magnitudes here for the states, 4.0 for the international community. Do you guys see anything odd that stands out here? Well, we got the plate boundaries here in the red line. Major Pacific plate boundary here, stretching across Papua New Guinea, Solomon Islands, Fiji. Of course, down here along the New Zealand area, Antarctica area. These earthquakes right here, though, stand out to me. And we had an oddball earthquake earlier this evening, just outside the Marshall Islands area, Nauru, just to the east of there, right smack dab on the equator. Gilbert Islands over here to the east, 5.4, 10 kilometers depth there. Now, that's not the exact measurement below the surface or the oceanic crust, just they cannot figure out the exact level for that earthquake. But either way, the epicenter here has been right here on the equator, outside of Nauru. Now, I pulled up historical data here for this area, and let me tell you, this specific area does not see a lot of earthquake activity. I pulled up 4.5 and above since the year 1100. Just to be funny, because that's, just wanted to make sure I get all the earthquakes in there. The last one, aside from this one today, which was the largest, by the way, in this area, was a 5.2. Back in 2004, we had the Sumatra earthquake. Remember that year? A pretty large earthquake during that year. But that's the last time a 5.2 earthquake occurred within this region. Prior to that, 1986, we've seen a 5.3 within this area. So it looks like there's an interval level of about 20 years or so for earthquakes to occur within this area. It's an intraplate earthquake well away from the plate boundary. We're talking, probably close to 1,000 miles or so away from the plate boundary down here. So a little odd earthquake activity is standing out today. It's been a while, right? I don't recall anything, I don't recall anything in this area for quite a while. 2004, yeah. I don't even know if I remember that back then. So, a little bit of adjustment, and it is within this area here that I've mentioned in the past previous updates to watch for some larger activity. Solomon Islands has been in the region that has been in that seismic gap, so to speak, for a little while. We've seen activity up here around Papua New Guinea. We've seen it today. 24-hour threshold there shows that. Also, we've seen quite a bit of movement here around the Tonga Trench, Fiji area as well. Solomon Islands, you're right there in the middle. Vanuatu area potentially as well. Watch this region here for potential larger scale movement soon, very soon. As far as the activity up here around Papua New Guinea, looks like this activity here throughout the day period, a couple of low-grade 5s and some upper 4s. Last one there was a 4.9. Most of these earthquakes occurring about 27 kilometers deep here into the plate boundary. Over here to the west, looks like around the Indonesia area, some activity earlier this morning kicking off, mostly 4s. Not a whole lot of activity across the rest of the Indonesia region, including the Java Trench, at least 4.0 and above. Looking at the EMSC model here, we do see a 4.4 and a 4.6 here, according to the EMSC. Very new earthquakes listed up here on the Java Trench, and it looks like maybe the USGS issued one of them up here, but we're lacking that 4.4 down here along the Java Ridge. but that would be a good indicator of westward pressure movement occurring within this area of the plate boundaries. Over here around the Philippine Trench, seen a 5.0 coming in early this morning, about 3:43 or so in the AM. Up here around the Japan Trench, this one from yesterday, so we haven't really seen too much newer activity kicking up here in today's time frame. This one coming in, well, this is about the only one though, 4.4 off the coast or inland here into Russia, Kuril-Kamchatka Trench. Now this is well below this land area, down about 132 kilometers into the northern end of the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench. This is, if I have to say where I'm going to see the next mega quake happen here, a very large earthquake, and I'm talking about above 7.0, this is a region that is prime for that type of earthquake activity. There's other areas, of course, Cascadia and subduction zones down New Zealand. But this region here has a super high accumulated slip rate. And it should be, we should have seen some larger earthquake activity by now. It's been a while. So watch that region as well. Into Alaska, looks like around the Trident Volcano, still seeing some swarming off to the west near the Mount Martin area. But no major activity kicking up for now. And most of the regional activity throughout Alaska, all very typical. One back-building earthquake here, and I say back-building because it's prior to the subduction zone, kind of off the interface here of the two plates. Prior to the subduction zone, 3.2, 16 kilometers deep. Looks like there's some type of fracture boundaries out here. Kind of see them there in the oceanic crust. There's a lot going on. If you really think what caused all of these little these sea mounts and these fractures out here, that's stress, plate tectonics at work there. Into the Pacific Northwest, yeah, we're getting all your rain. Sorry, folks, but we'll take it. You guys have a lot of wet winters up there, so we'll take all your rain. But as far as earthquake activity, we got one outside of Seattle, a 1.9 near the Puget Sound. Looks like 25 kilometers deep onto the Seattle Fault. That's another dangerous seismic zone up there around Seattle. Mount St. Helens, a little spotty activity through there as well. We checked those out earlier. Same for about the Newberry Volcano in Oregon. Some very small microquake activity occurring there today and yesterday. Up into the northern Cal region, most of this activity here from early this morning, I should say. And a look at the live seismograph stations there around Petrolia, Dinsmore, which are in this area of northern Cal. Looks fairly quiet. There's not a lot of earthquake activity occurring there currently. Some movement out here around Greenville. This sits just south of the Mount Lassen area in Northern California. Now we've seen a little bit of earthquake activity here over the past couple days, some 2s and 3s. There's a couple fault systems up here. Looks like the Skinner Flat Fault. Not associated with the Lassen Peak area, the Lassen volcanic area. I did pull up the Mount Lassen regional earthquake map here. We're just going to double check that. And by the way, the volcano activity here around the Cascades here in Nevada, Siskiyou Mountain area and down south, all green. We don't have any active volcanoes out here along the west coast. But the Mount Lassen area, I pulled it up. There's a couple seismograph stations here I was looking at, and we'll see if we can get these to access here. Seismic station here. It looks fairly... Oh, it always does that. I don't know why it disappears like that. Goodness. But it's calm. Some of this activity here looks like it's distant from the Mount Lassen area. This one looks pretty local, though. But those are the earthquakes that are occurring over the last 24 hours. A couple more down here as well. This is some type of... I don't know, some type of adjustment maybe occurring with the seismograph station. But over the last few hours here, things pretty minimal. Nothing showing up there across the Mount Lassen area of Northern California. Down here north of Ukiah, one earthquake here along the coastal fault system of 1.5 early this morning. Typical activity there around Cobb Mountain. Now we got a little swarming activity here outside of Colville, 2.1 near Walker and a 2.6. in that area as well, coming in within the last hour. A little bit of activity occurring up along the eastern crest here of the Sierra Nevada. Down here into the central portion of the state, south of the Bay Area, Earthquake activity kicking up here within the last 24 hours. Little heightened along the creeping segment here of the San Andreas Fault. Mostly 2s and some other smaller microquakes there around the region indicating some slip. Movement also down in Southern California lighten up. Looks like around the San Jacinto Fault Zone 2.0 near the Ocotillo Wells area. This area has seen a little bit of swarming here over the last week or so. North of Ontario, actually outside of Fontana, it looks like a 1.0 coming in within the last hour. And up here in the San Bernardino mountain range, got a couple earthquakes here coming in. 1.3 and a 1.3 in the last hour. Earlier this morning, we've seen some other ones within that region. So lighten up a little bit out here along the west coast. No major swarms, no major let's see if I can spit this out. No reason to really issue an earthquake watch out here for the west coast. Just general earthquake activity occurring in certain regions for now. Nothing going on across the southern branch of the San Andreas Fault. Over here around Salt Lake City, Utah, outside of Logan, got a swarm kicking up here. All sorts of variable depth earthquakes there at 2 to 3 in the magnitude department, ranging from surface quakes down to about 7 kilometers deep. Now, this earthquake activity is off a fault zone here, just outside of the Logan region. Nothing showing up here on Yellowstone, but hey, do we take their word for it, or do we check it out ourselves? Let's go ahead and check it out ourselves and see what we have over the course of 24 hours. Yeah, there's some earthquake activity, and they should have been listed, but maybe they have other things that they're focusing on currently. Looks like a couple of small microquakes, probably in the mid to 1.5 range, but that's about it. No major activity occurring there across Yellowstone. And no doom and gloom tonight, folks. No magma movement at all occurring within Yellowstone. The rest of the country, we did have one earthquake out here in Georgia earlier this morning at 2.3. Nothing else showing up. Texas, lighten up out here outside of Pecos. 3.0, the latest earthquake out here in the mix of oil, old oil fields, and whatever these are. I'm not for sure what this area is. It looks like... I don't know. It's a really weird feature out here. It looks like some type of very thin type of structures. I don't know what they are, but it does consist within the area of some wastewater injection wells. Notice these little swimming pools out there. Not really. That's wastewater that gets injected way below, and it does activate some old faults and also creates some new earthquakes out there with that 3.0 occurring. All right, let's see here. Oh, I got to show you guys something real quick here. Where the Nauru earthquake occurred out here. Now, this is actually kind of interesting here. Where'd the Marshall Islands go? If you look out here, is this what I'm looking at? Yeah, almost looks like everything's underwater, doesn't it? Like, how can there be like a capital and civilization out here? I checked it out here, but this is a pretty cool looking island. Goodness, I can say it's not really above the water. Certain areas are, and humans have decided to, take advantage of that newly formed land out here in the Pacific. Look at that. How would you guys like to be surrounded by massive amounts of Pacific water out there with there's nowhere to escape? As far as going to higher ground, goodness, it looks pretty cool temporarily, but if we have a Pacific-wide tsunami, this area is not going to exist anymore. But isn't it crazy what humans do? They find any little bit of land and just build up on it out there. It looks beautiful. I'm sure it is. I'll probably never get a chance to go out there and see that, but look at that. Just pretty much a highway with civilization around this area, and there's a couple islands like that. Crazy. All right, let's see. New Zealand area, we had that 5.0 coming in early this morning. It looks like about 8 o'clock or so. In an odd area. Now, it's away from the plate boundary. It's relatively shallow. Satellite view out here doesn't show any major volcano activity. and it's within a field. It looks like some type of farmland, but there's no obvious type of activity going on out here. No wastewater injection wells, I'm sure. I don't see any oil pumping operations out there, but needless to say, there was a 5.0 North Island, New Zealand early this morning. Let's go ahead and check out the latest activity here from the GeoNet servers as we head down here into this area of the world. 5 hours ago, 2.5, 2.6. There's that 3.9. Now these guys that were showing the 13 hours ago, that 5.1, 7 kilometers deep. So since it looks like there's been a little bit of aftershock activity within that region, including a 3.9, couple earthquakes occurring within that zone. 3-pointer, 2.6. So things kind of rocking out there in this area of the New Zealand region. The look at here, the volcanic drums, shows some of that activity occurring there. Picking it up fairly nicely after a couple days of lacking activity. No major swarms, no major movement at any of these volcanic drums, including the Taupo supervolcano, but it is picking up that activity from earlier today. All right, what do we got? Tremor map here tonight. 31 epicenters there. Vancouver Island ranges. That's the northern end of the Cascadia subduction zone. Nothing occurring down south, just up north. So not a whole lot happening here along this section of the Cascadia. Space weather activity occurring. Looks like 3180 has developed a beta gamma class magnetic structure. 3180 is going to be harboring a potential for a 50% chance for a C flare, M flare, 10% chance for an X flare. Now 3180, looking at the map here, is that regional sunspot I was talking about this morning. Kind of funny. I wonder if these guys are paying attention to my words out here. About the potential of maybe seeing some larger activity here. But the latest imagery, let's see what we got here for 3180. It still looks a little bit disorganized there. Not a whole lot of closeness here with the magnetic structure. That's kind of what we want to see, the closeness of the colors and numerous groups of the magnetic structure here. Similar to, well, this one here is kind of growing down southeast here, or southwest. But apparently these guys have forecasted at least a little bit of potential of solar weather activity from 3180. So we'll watch that. 3181, I think harbors some as well. Let's see what we got for overall potential. 95% chance for a C flare, 35% for M. X flare has been elevated to a 10% chance. And we do have some current conditions coming in here on the space weather Aurora forecast. Look at that. Canada, Alaska, heads up. If you guys got clear skies up there, doesn't matter if you're 50 below or 30 above. Get out there and get some of those views, because that's some prize viewing up there for the auroras in the higher latitudes. That's for certain. KP index right around the 4 range, but we're getting that BZ component south. They do mention it right here. An elevated solar wind stream containing a sector of southward BZ tilt is currently moving past Earth as the time of this update. A minor G1 geomagnetic storm warning is now in effect. And obviously, that's some good conditions occurring up there for the folks there in Canada. Lucky. You guys are lucky. One of these days, that's on my bucket list. I want to see it. Goodness. I mean, I want to see. I went up there in Alaska a couple years ago in the middle of winter time, hoping to see some auroras, and I didn't. It was cloudy and cold, and that was about it. So, yeah, you guys are lucky up there. Lucky. All right. A real quick glance here at the weather. I know I covered that earlier today in the update video, which, a lot of people wonder what's going on out here along the West Coast. Well, we have a lot of rain coming in here, folks, and just going to bring you guys up to speed real quick on the total accumulated precipitation amounts here. Now, tomorrow we have a significant storm system coming in here that's going to bring about 3 to 4 inches of rainfall into the Sacramento Valley, and that includes my area up here around Chico, where we're already soaked. The ground is very, very saturated, and it needs a little bit of time to, well, dry up, but we don't have that. And it's not looking like we're going to dry up anytime soon for the next 14 days. I want to show you guys the GFS model here of the storm accumulation over the next few days. Look at California is on chart to see some significant rainfall amounts. Now, looking up here around Glenn County, Butte County of Northern California, Chico area, we're talking about potentially 10 inches of rainfall and maybe possibly higher in certain areas around the foothills. And that's over the time frame of now to about the 20th of January. That is fairly historical, I would say. So this is a big deal. And, it's nothing to take lightly because, we've been in a drought for the past 3 years. I lost a few walnut trees over the summertime because it was 115 degrees for a week, and we've had very minimal rainfall over our last couple winters. So the trees need the water. The root system needs that deep water, and I'm thankful for it because I think we'll be good. But also, you guys need to be prepared for this. Watch the rivers, watch the streams, watch for localized flooding out there on the county roads. It's going to be a big deal. A lot of people asking me, are they overhyping this? Are they, is the Weather Channel, is all the local news agencies hyping this up? No, they're not, because this is a big deal. There's a lot of rainfall that's being tapped into from the subtropics, stretching across all the way from the Pacific here to Northern California. It's pretty much a fire hose of rainfall, and this is what puts an end to a drought. So we'll watch this right now. I think it's something to appreciate. We need the rainfall, but also at the same time, be prepared. We don't need any unfortunate circumstances out there with people getting trapped, driving through water. Do not drive through water. I will be out and about watching this flooding, watching the rivers, watching the streams, and reporting here on the channel. I'll probably go live as well during some of this rainfall event here with Missy Mimi's to show you guys firsthand what's going on out here in California when these storm systems come through. Make sure you guys have that notification bell hit. Otherwise, you guys won't see when I go live. So click that notification bell and make sure you're a subscriber here on the channel. All right, folks, I am going to jump off here. And 2.7 coming in to, that kind of looks like it's down there around the Walker area. Either way, folks, there's a lot of activity taking place out here. Atlantic Ocean seeing a lot of divergent boundary earthquakes here over the last 24 hours. There's a lot of spreading movement going on. And spreading movement meaning those divergent boundaries stretching across and applying pressure out here at certain regions. We got to watch some areas. I think something's brewing fairly nicely, I'm sure, on the larger size soon. South America, a little quiet spot right now, but that could be active as well very soon. Either way, folks, a lot of activity going on, a little bit of overload in the system tonight, but we'll take it as we can. Have a good one, folks. We'll catch you guys sometime tomorrow. And what do we got there on the live seismograph station? We got Yellowstone kicking up there. Still seeing some activity there around Yellowstone. Nothing major going on yet. Just some small microquakes. Have a good one, guys. We'll catch you back here tomorrow during the brunt of the system. Peace out.